people say, I hear people on the street talking about justice. They want justice for the third world. They want justice for Palestine. They want justice for the Negro. And then you ask them what justice is, they have no idea what it is. So I'm going to tell you what justice is. All right, so we're going to just check that off the box right now, even before I get to the other talk. Justice concerns wholeness. That's all the parts working together. That means what's good for one part is good for the rest of the part. There's no you cut my arm off, but I'm okay. It's just my arm that's a problem. No, if you cut my arm off, it hurts me because I'm a whole person. Right? So justice as wholeness. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, have we made black communities whole in Chicago?
Ask the streets.
Ask the streets. Ask the streets.
I like that one.
Inviting me. This is very important. So I'm going to touch on a few distinctions just right at the beginning. First distinction I want to draw is between an activist and an organizer. An activist and an organizer. Right? We need activists and we need organizers, but there's a difference, and I'm going to clarify. We're about to talk about what justice is, and now if people ask you what justice is, it means making the situation whole. And now I'm going to talk about the difference between an activist and an organizer. An activist is not afraid to tell truth to power. And that's a very important skill, because we need that kind of courage. You need to be able to go up to your boss and say, as a matter of right, I need a break to go to the bathroom. As a matter of right, I need a sick day. You need to be able to tell truth to power. And that's the very important part of what it is to be free. And so we kind of need to teach our kids to be courageous and able to tell truth to power. That's part of it. But that's not organizing yet. Right? That's a necessary condition to make all this go on. That's not organizing yet. Organizing is growing people's capacity to govern. Right? That's when I teach you about power and how to take it, how to wield it, how to share it. Because sharing power is how you grow power. People don't think that. They think you grow power by just taking it. No, you actually grow power by sharing it. But sharing it's hard, because once you get it, you just kind of want it. And especially want the kids to have it. And some of our, unfortunately, I always blame black people last. But it does become the case that on occasion, some black people get the power and then worry about just kind of keeping it in their family as opposed to sharing it and growing it that way in the community. Fortunately, it's one of those things that happen. It's not their fault necessarily, but it's one of those things. But there's a difference between telling truth to power on one hand and growing people's capacity to govern on the other. Right? This is telling truth to power is activism. Growing people's capacity to govern. That means take a state budget or take a budget and be able to distribute it in a way that's fair while growing other people's capacity to take power. Because obviously, growing people's capacity to govern in these United States and in Chicago, that means growing people's capacity to take what's yours from white people. They have it. And they say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. You have to understand that the only reason that hand feeds you is because they stole all your food. So you're going to have to, I'm teaching you how to bite the hand that feeds you. Just nibble on it, get your cut back. They've stolen your food, you just want your food back. So part of what's governing is being able to say truth to power. Because your bosses are going to be white, or your boss's boss is going to be white. Even the NBA players, the owners are white, except for Jordan, who didn't make his money by being good to us. Although, I don't know. Some black people in Chicago made money off of Jordan. Maybe? Did any black people make money off Chicago? Oh, you made a little bit of money off it.
No, I gave away 500 tickets to the games with Michael Jordan in it. I worked in professional sports, so
there you go.
I used his tickets and his name.
So some he made white people a lot of money, and some black people, and he made Jordan a lot of money. Did he make black people money? I don't know if anybody's life is that much better. I don't know.
Jordan.
Unless your last name's Jordan.
I know kids lost their life over Jordans.
The kids lost their life over. Right. Yes, there's that too.
I live on the south side.
Right. And he wasn't exactly trying to stop that either.
Right.
He wasn't committed to stop it. So we have to understand that Part of what it is to be an activist is to be able to speak truth to power. Part of what it is to be an organizer is grow everyone around you's capacity to govern both themselves and with other people for the community. Because real wealth isn't an individual problem. Like, you don't want to be, like, listen, TJ, right? Mm-hmm. TJ, if I gave you an option, I could give you $10 million.
Okay.
All right, $10 million. Or everybody you know, every single body you know in your neighborhood for like 3-block radius of where you stay gets $500,000 in their bank account.
That's easy.
What do?
You got to share the wealth. You give it to everybody.
Absolutely.
Because if you're one, because what happens if you got $10 million?
Well, I'm gonna have to feed them all anyway. Right. They're gonna or they're gonna eat me.
Yeah, you can't.
So I'm gonna still be feeding them. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna eat me. You know what I mean?
Or you gotta leave. You gotta
Well, or you're gonna lose it all because you got nobody there to help protect you.
Damn, exactly.
That's right, boy.
This is why you gotta think, yeah.
Or you can be like the billionaires of Africa.
You gotta get a big old
Your whole country suffers, or be as Trump called it, an S-hole, while the president is a billionaire.
Right. But he's got a gate and like armed guards.
Yeah, see,
like,
I'm saying, but see, this is the
They're gonna eat
African
'em.
descendant of slaves, right? It's, you know, what I don't understand when we say about the wealth, why come they don't do it?
Well, all right. So I got another thing. My dad is an African immigrant, right?
Right.
So like people are like, well, you know, immigrants come up from the bottom. No, they don't. My dad, granddad had like farms and like 4 different wives at the same time. He was
What did he
it's
do?
not like he was at the bottom. He had people to work for.
I'm like him.
So-
If teams were like this guy's answer and took care of everybody in Africa, like this guy would have did that money, if Africa would not be dependent on Bill Gates and everything else. They were like this guy's mentality.
I mean, there's colonialism and
Well, I know this guy. I'm just saying you gave an answer, but his answer was good for United States.
well, his answer actually understands what wealth is.
Right.
Wealth isn't about what's in your bank account.
Yes.
It's about like, can you go outside and not get hit up? Can you answer your phone and not get hit up? It's about actually being that, because that's what freedom is. You're not free if you got $10 million and everyone around you broke.
Right. With their hand out.
Yeah, you can't go to a park. You can't go to a family reunion. Everyone's like, man, I got this kid. Well, there's this funny story about like you hear that 80%, probably a little bit lower now that they've made some changes in the NBA and we're dealing with more second generation players. But for a while, it was 80% of the players were going broke, were going bankrupt. And they were like, well, you know, it's because they weren't taking care of their money, they weren't financially literate. No, it was because they were trying to raise up the whole block. And like it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Like no matter, like you can get a $20 million contract, but if you're trying to raise up your whole high school graduating class, that's not enough. Because real money is a community property, and you have to understand that 1 out of every 7 white households is a millionaire. 1 out of every 7. They don't, and they look like everybody else. It's 1 out of every 7.
They sure do.
They look like everybody else. It just happens to have $1 million because like their grandfather did something with like some land that they got, and then just kind of died. And I didn't know. Before I knew it, I got a phone call and I got $1 million. So like the generational wealth that's floating around the white community, it's 1 out of every 45 black families, and it's just like 1 million. So like the white wealth, like it'll be like 1 out of every 7, but like it goes up to like 3, 4, 10, 15 rather quickly. The black wealth is 1 out of every 45, and then it goes like 1, 1.2. And like we're not talking about like big inherited wealth. We're talking about 2 generations of high school teachers who like happen to buy that. For example, the Great Migration. Like my mom moved from South Carolina to LA. But like you did it in a window, right? So she moved from South Carolina in '68 to LA, was a nurse. They bought a little house in Baldwin Hills next to just other people. And now that house is worth like, you know, they sold it because they got divorced and another thing. But now that house, I just checked on Zillow, is worth like $700,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was just a nurse living, and Baldwin Hills isn't as black as it was when I was there. Because like you can't buy $700,000 houses. So that was just like timing is right and creating wealth. But like if you're white and you're white, you move to LA and you buy in the white neighborhood in LA, that house is worth like $3 million. It's still like a, 2,000, 1,600 square foot house, something like that. but it's worth like $1 million now because it's in a white neighborhood in LA. And all your granddad did back then was be white and buy a house next to other white people. So we just have to understand how generational wealth works in communities and how wealth works. So it's not really, wealth isn't so much a matter of what's in your bank account. I tell people wealth is a matter of like, what's in your wedding party's bank account? Because when white people start businesses, they don't go to banks. They make phone calls to uncles and stuff. Right? They hit up best men and neighbors and stuff. I think anybody who's been around white wealth knows enough that like that's just how it works. And honestly, that means the business can go poorly, and like you'll still get funding for the next time because you're like, well, you tried. One more thing I want to talk about before we go to the next part of the program is about I went to college in Berkeley, and I know a lot of the people who went and started businesses and were kind of venture capitalists and in that scene, and they fund you for your like fourth business. They assume your first 3 businesses are going to fail. So they're like, here's $50,000 for that idea, here's $100,000 for that idea, just try hard and learn something, and if you fail, well, I mean, they'll tell you, like, try to do your best or whatever. But if you fail, they'll be like, well, all right, well, you tried, here's another $50,000, here's another $100,000 for your venture. And the idea is that, like, what's up? Oh, I thought I said something. The idea is that on your 4th venture, you'll get friends like Facebook or something like that. Like you'll get something that works, and like you've had experience now, and so they fund you to fail. Black life is not like that. Black life, you'll save 10 years for that first venture, and then if it fails, you got another 15 years from that. It's not like you can just keep making phone calls the same way and say like, well, it didn't work out. Can you give me another 50 grand? So like that's, and all these people say like, well, we just need to start businesses. Know that like your little business, unless you have 30K in the bank, it takes about 30K to start a business. 30, like all the other little businesses are hustles, and it's fine to hustle, but like let's be honest, if you're serious about like getting a business that moves, that can scale, you need to start out with 30K. And we don't have it. We don't have it in our phone calls. Marlon, you had a question?
I was just saying, like you were talking about, they call it failing up. You just failed up.
Yeah, you failed up. Well, you just tried hard. I liked his hustle, so I'm going to fund him again. That's not black life. That's not black life. So we just have to understand that if we're going to participate in this game, we have to understand the rules and like that everyone lies to us. But let me talk about, let me go back a little bit and talk about, this has been a problem since the founding of the country, and not necessarily with black people, but just with like everybody. It's not an accident that in the beginning of the nation, only land-owning white guys could vote. It's not an accident. And it's not necessarily that they're white, and it's not necessarily that they're land-owning, and it's not necessarily that they're men, but if you were male and white and landowning, you could actually be free because the idea was that, like, wives would just do what their husbands tell them to do. So if you give women the vote, they'll just do what their husbands tell them to do. And then also, if you're dependent, that means you don't have your own land. If you're an employee, you're just a tool of your boss. That was an argument that was like, look, we can't have employees and people who without land, without independent means, voting because they're not really independent. Because if you're just some man's either slave or even if you're some man's employee without real labor laws, you're just a tool of your employee. Like you're just a tool of your employee. If we don't understand like the conditions of independence, we'll all just be tools, even though we're not necessarily slaves now. We'll all still be tools insofar as we're still scared of ticking off our boss. So we need to think about what independence means insofar as we live in a world with employees, and so this is why we needed family law, right? So we needed family law to secure political rights for the independence of spouses, right? Because if you're completely dependent on your spouse, you're gonna do what your spouse says. So we needed family law so that spouses were independent. We need employment law so that employees weren't slaves. And this is one thing, honestly, one thing that I've noticed about black people in the South and black people in the diaspora, in the North and the West, is that been a real distinction. Like there's a lot of community in Georgia who like is used to being treated like trash and doesn't know any other way. And that's unfortunate because they still think, well, I'm just a slave anyway. White people are going to run anything, run it the way they want to anyway. So I just got to do what they tell me, and that's just black life. It's unfortunate. So organizing in the South has challenges that you don't face in the North and in the West. But like I'm committed because I can afford to live there because it's cheaper. And Georgia's the third black, and so like I think there's a lot of power there. there's just structural barriers to teaching them that like we're gonna have to take our power and we're gonna take some white people land, and we're gonna take some white people money, and then when they ask us to do what they want to do with it, we're gonna have to say no. We're gonna do what we want to do with it. Thank you. So like there's a learning curve there that I'm struggling with, but we're working. Anyway, we need employment law so that employees are employees and not slaves. One of the pushes in the black community is like, well, you need to start your own business. You can't be anyone's employee. Look, America's not fit for everyone to start their own business. Like we got big white brick and mortar stores being eaten by Amazon. Right. You gonna go against Jeff Bezos? Like they're gonna say, what they're gonna do is going to say like, well, you can come to the table, and they're not gonna know they're letting you into the table so that they can take your chips. They can take your chips. You're so proud to be at the table that you don't know that you're just food for the other people at the table, so that they can take your chips. And now that you're at the table, they're gonna exploit you for being at the table. So like, not everybody can be a business owner. Not everybody should be a business owner because that's not how businesses run in an advanced economy. We need employees. We just need employees that are treated like employees. And one of the reasons why the push for black capitalism and black business ownership is so big is because the only employment opportunities available for black people are so bad. So we've made employment for black like everyday black people so bad that, and then say like, well, the only way out is owning your own business. No, the way out is either organizing or somehow like balancing the power between you and your employer so that you can actually like live a good life as an employee. Because there are some white employees who work for the university who do very well as employees. They get vacations, they get benefits, they get a fair wage, they get retirement. They don't own their own business, they're just treated well as employees. So we need to actually get black employees treated well as black employees. And that means black employees doing everything. Because there's some data out there that says that we only really do 13 things. But these 13 things need to be done. These 13, like we're preschool teachers, we're sanitation workers. Like we should, first of all, we need to be doing all of the things. But the things we do, we need to be compensated for as important as they are. And this is what MLK knew when he wrote a speech called The Dignity of Labor. And he's like, look, the sanitation worker at the hospital is just as important as a surgeon, because if the sanitation worker at the hospital doesn't do their job, you get germs, and if you get germs, you get infections, and you lose the patients anyway. So it doesn't matter how talented your surgeon is if your sanitation worker falls off. Right? So you need sanitation workers, so we need to pay the people who do sanitation workers as if they're as important as they are, because we need them. We need people cleaning up after stuff. We need so like the work black people have always done, we need to compensate. And then we need to do all of the things. All of the occupations are what black people do. All of them. HVAC, plumbing. Like I want all of them, like if I want black people working, I want them paid, I want black people doing it. Making carpentry, like I don't know how to do a lot of this stuff, but I want other black people doing it. Designing cars. So we need to actually rescue freedom for employees as a racial justice project. Because this is one of the reasons why, and especially now this in Chicago, why the union movement actually secured so much independence for Irish Chicagoans and white Chicagoans. Like it secured their independence because they were no longer tools of their bosses. Right? So to be actually independent, you needed family law so that like spouses weren't tools of each other, and often it was gendered, so women weren't tools of their husbands. And you need employment law so that employees aren't tools of their employers. They can go out and loudly be like against their employer's like vision of what politics looks like without worrying about getting fired. Because you still run into a lot of black people who say like, "Ooh, I'd like to say that, but I don't know. I don't want to get fired," because we're not really free. That's not free. If you're saying that, you're not really free.
Correct.
So you don't hear white people saying like, "Oh well, I don't know, that might piss off, my health." No, they don't care. Donald Trump's free.
Yes.
That's one thing. This is one thing you get with Donald Trump that you didn't even get with Obama. He's a free man. Donald Trump's first inauguration, or like the first press conference, he was like, "Sit down, CNN, you're fake news." Like, I won't believe you. So like, you would never get Obama saying that. No, because Donald Trump looks like what freedom looks like. Shut up. He's like that Richard Pryor scheme. Anyway, so like that's the kind of freedom you look like when you're not chasing that, when you're scared of not taking off white money. So being free and black in the United States looks like not being scared of taking off white money. Working with them. We can work together. I just don't work for you, and I'm going to tell you the truth because it's bad for everyone. You get. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this later. But you get white people with a distorted view of reality, kind of like that boss who thinks that jokes are funny because the secretary laughs at them. They get a distorted view of reality. So like that's not good for them. I don't want them to be distorted. So we need to be able to tell them the truth about them so that they don't live in a distorted view of reality, and we need to be able to tell the truth about them so that we can actually live in our truth. Because black people have been trained, and this is what people don't get about the school to prison pipeline, which I think is unfortunate. We punish especially black boys, for like telling the truth from like age 4. We just punish them for telling the truth. By the time, if they graduate high school, by the time they graduate, they're either quiet or like they just have a distorted view of like what they're allowed to say and be. And like I'm a medium-sized black guy. I don't even know what it's like to be over like 6'4" and then do a job interview. And try not to take over and not to take up any room, like to be a full-size Negro, to try to get a job. Because because your whole life is like, don't make white people nervous, and that's an unfortunate way to live life, and that's not freedom. To be in a job interview and and I've seen a lot of black guys, big black guys, go out of their way not to take up any room in a white space because it's intimidating for white people. So now, so they're just there . And that depending on who you talk to, that's the entire CPC, the Congressional Black Caucus. But that's you can make a living for yourself being the black guy in the room who doesn't take up any space. Or be the diversity is one thing. One way we get ghettoized, being a diversity coordinator, or whatever, but is always locked out of rooms when they talk about budgets. No, your job is diversity. We're gonna go over here and talk about money. You go and handle black people. We're gonna talk. So you want black people in the room when they talk about money. Black people in the room when they talk about budgets. That's where you want black people in the room, not just when they're all right, so we need a diversity coordinator. So you go and plan a parade or something while we talk about hiring and contracts.
Who's getting the money?
So what's up?
I said, who getting the money?
Who get the money? That's what we want our people. And we want not just one. We want clusters. Right. We want 6 in that room. Because if you're just one, that means you're not saying anything anyway. Because you're just it's not going to be the truth. So we want multiple black people in that room with budgets, when budgets are being decided. That's what freedom looks like. And that means we need a culture of people who, one, demand to be in that room, and 2, know what to do when they get there. And not just not because it's white people are very crafty. It's easy to pay. You can get sold, especially when you're hungry. You can get sold a bill of goods and be like, all right, I'll take care of you. And there's always every time I get very suspicious when I meet any black director of external affairs for any university or hospital, and depending on who you talk to, this includes Michelle Obama, because she did that job for the University of Chicago Hospital. Depending on who you talk to, that her job was just Negro control. That's a good job to have, Negro control. That's a good 6-figure job often. If you're going to be the president of external affairs, it means keep them away from us. The vice president of external affairs, it's handle them, so I can keep doing what I want to do without having to worry about them. And us, we're the them. So like we need to learn how to fight and go through like some of the black faces and high places that want to keep us from our real independence, which means securing freedom. And freedom has two parts. I kind of jotted this down, but it's important to get this right. It's got two parts. No, I'm going to go over it. People think freedom is just a matter of choice. If I have choice. Like I have choice, that means I'm free. And then if you choose wrong, then I can blame you. And as long as I give you choice, that means you're free. All right, so if you're a vegetarian and you walk into a restaurant and you get chicken, fish, or beef, you have choices. You got lots of choices. Are you free?
Nope.
But you got lots of choices. What do you mean? You can take chicken. You're hungry. You're a vegetarian. What's wrong? You got choices.
I want options.
They right.
I want options. I want options, and that means you're participated and see yourself among the options among which you choose. So don't let people just say like, well, choice is what you want. No, I want to be reflected in the options among which I choose. That means you too might have to choose among options that I've had a say in. That's your problem. I'll listen to you. But I too want to be reflected in the options among which I choose. So freedom has a form and a content. The form is choice. The content is the options among which you choose. You want both to be free. And so when people just say like, well, here's a choice, but the choice, none of those choices are about you. They're pretty much forcing you to choose into your alienation, right? Depending on who you talk to, this was like a lot of the position that black people get in when they're in the voting ballot. Like, especially for me, I felt this way with Hillary Clinton and Trump. I'm like, yeah, I'm voting, yay. Like, none of these people are about me. And like my life, yeah, like that's what freedom means. That's not really about me. So I need something. I need to be like myself needs to be represented in all stages of the process. So in the final process, I'm choosing something that's about me. At least one of the options there are about me.
So I'm looking at what you said, freedom. It's a choice.
Choice
And then participating in things with limits, and then we got the options.
Yeah, you don't get full participation. You don't get unilateral. Nobody gets.
That's that second freedom.
People.
Yeah.
You got it. So when you participate in the options among which you choose, you still have to deal with other people.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that you don't get unilateral power. There's a quality of political maturity that goes with that. I got to deal with folks, and some folks might not be as enlightened as other folks. I still got to deal with them. But we come together with a set of options that reflects the room.
Yeah.
Because right now we get options that don't reflect us, and then we get like, what? You have choices. I'm like, yeah, none of those choices are about me.
Oh, so we got to prune those old options away like
We
dead
need to
leaves.
get like, no.
Get rid of them. It's a whole new season.
It's a whole new season. Like
those
these are,
plants.
you put choices in front of me that aren't about me.
Yeah.
And I want choices in front of me that are about me. Mm-hmm. And that means sometimes you have to deal with some of my choices. That's fine. Mm-hmm. I'll think about you when I form this too. Mm-hmm. Like we're all in it together, but no more of this I get to choose among options that you decide tailored to your comfort. And this is what governing for the whole looks like. Creating options for the whole that reflect the whole. Because like we can't just have like all black only options for like when you live with white people. No, like we'll work together and come up with options that work for everybody. But like I'm just not the season of me having to choose between options that you put before me, and then you like saying just be happy that you have choices. That's over. No, I want to be in the room with a budget when we decide which options we're producing, and I want productive power.
We find confident calling it the lesser of two evils.
Right, I don't know. I want one of them. I want something good. No more lesser two evils, because you don't think they're both evil. You like one of these. You're just lying about it.
Right.
White women are especially funny because they voted for Trump and then threw a party and then threw at themselves a parade. They're like fighting. You voted for Trump. 50% of white women voted for Trump, and now they're like, well, he's not our president. I'm like, actually, he is. He voted for him. I know that he's not our president. We voted for him. So like, don't tell me that like he's like you got to deal with your people. Don't throw yourself a party fighting.
If you have questions that you would like to ask the streets, contact us at askthestreetsmedia@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.